That's just sports, baby.
Crowd goes wild. Strawberry ice, bringing fire and style. Reds, Bengals, Bearcats, all in my zone. This is my stage, my mic, my throne. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy's line is kicking down the door. Step into the ring where the passion ignites. Talking sports all day and all night. From the field to the court to the roaring stands. Strawberry ice with the world in my hands. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy's fine is kicking down the door.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, Iceman Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I'm bringing you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. And as always, I'm coming to you live from the Ice Cave.
All right, shout out to my sponsors. They are Priority Lawn and Landscaping for all your lawn and landscaping needs. You need your grass cut, you need your shrubbery trimmed, I don't know, you need a paper patio, you need anything. I mean anything. Landscaping requires. Think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Also, shout out to T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And of course, Meyer Window, Door, and more. I got it in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. They're energy efficient, great looking windows, easy to clean. Meyer Window, Door, and more. The website is MeyerCincinnati.com. And also, shout out to my favorite brewery, Moorline Lager House. Get on down there, get you some delicious Moorline beer, some delicious Moorline food. And tell them I sent you. Moorline Lager House. Hey guys. All right. Just want to let you know, we're still doing the pregame experience at the Moorline Lager House, brought to you by Best Day Brewery. I can't tell everybody this, so it's just between us, okay? For the next 3 games, Pittsburgh, Jets, Bears, which I think the Bengals can win all 3 of them, you can get $10 off. 10 by using pregame 10. Right? Pregame 10. That gets you into the all-exclusive experience. The drinks. The food. The host. Everything. It's the best experience on the banks. Best Day Brewery, Moorline Lager House, pregame 10. See you this Thursday. Let's go.
That's right. I know I said Thursday, but we're doing it again this Sunday. Also, just came to my attention. If you guys follow me on Twitter, you would have found this out already. But on November 23rd, we will be giving away this autographed T. Higgins helmet. Now, how do you enter? Very simple. You go to Moorline Lager House website and sign up for their loyalty program. You will be automatically entered. If you've already a member, you're already in. But if you want to double your chances, buy a ticket to the pregame experience at Moorline Lager House, again at the website, and we will be giving the helmet away on November 23rd. Now, to buy the pregame experience, you still can use the promo code 10 for $10 off. So if you want a chance to win this helmet again, go to the Moorline Lager House website, get into their loyalty program. Like I said, if you're already a member, you're good. If you want to double your chances, buy a ticket to the pregame experience, and you can use the promo code 10, pregame 10, sorry, not promo code, pregame 10 for $10 off, and we will be giving the helmet away November 23rd. So I hope you guys come on down to the Moorline Lager House this Sunday, and we can have some fun and sign up, and maybe you can win a helmet. What is up to everybody in the chat? We've got Stranger in there, Brad's in there, Augie's in there, Josh is in there. What up? Cornell's in there, Tony Blazing, Paul's in there, and Crypt Keeper. I think that's everybody. All right, so I don't think Trags is going to be able to join us today, so we're going to have John, the Brain, Sheeran, and me. Got some news today. It looks like Trey Hendrickson was back on the practice field. Hopefully, he'll be back in action and ready to go and dominate the New York Jets. But with that being said, let's get to the man with all the knowledge. He is John, the Brain, Sheeran. What's up, John?
I got a haircut just for this show, by the way. It was like just only 2 weeks or 2 weeks, 2 hours afterwards. So like I feel pretty good right now.
I was going to say, I noticed that when you popped on the screen, it looks a little more trimmed up and poofy. It
Yeah.
looks good.
You're welcome.
I like it. Got all dressed up for me and everything. All right, so let's get into this. We are going to have Joe Flacco here making his third start against the winless Jets. According to Jay Morrison, the Bengals have done pretty good against 0-7 teams. 0-7 teams. They've won most of them. Is this a trap game for the Bengals? Because I don't think it is, but it could be.
Yeah, it very well could be. I think because obviously, and this wasn't a given for the past month, the Bengals have a quarterback advantage, right? Like that's just what it is now.
Right.
You have to assume that Flacco is getting comfortable with where the offense is. He's getting comfortable with the calls, and the more time he has on task with practicing and then the meetings, you have to assume that all that's going to be fine to the point where, like, yeah, he may not throw for 300 plus yards and 3 touchdowns a game every single week. That would be amazing if he did, but you can't expect that. I think the reason why this is a trap game, though, is because while the Jets may not have any clarity or any competency at quarterback, still have a pretty good defense, right?
Yeah, and they got Sauce Gardner.
Sauce is in the concussion protocol right now, and he didn't practice Wednesday, so I don't even know if he's going to play. If he doesn't, that's obviously a pretty big signal there. Garrett Wilson also isn't practicing right now with a knee injury, so they're pretty banged up, but I would still say that for potentially the faults that Aaron Glenn has as a new head coach, he's still a pretty good defensive mind, and the Jets are pretty stacked defensively, and have been that way for many years now. So despite their flaws as a team, despite the fact that they haven't found a way to win any game yet, I would say that the Bengals offense will still be challenged a little bit by the tenacity and the physicality, specifically at that front seven that the Jets have. And coming off of how the offensive line performed against the Steelers defensive line, I think they should be feeling pretty good about themselves, but it will still be a challenge nonetheless.
Right, exactly. And the biggest thing is I titled this show is the finally Chase Brown time in Cincinnati. I think it has to be as far as getting the running game going. And I've said this, that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I would leave Dalton Reiser at left guard. Nothing against Fairchild. I think Fairchild is our future left guard. But what I've seen from Reisner and Orlando Brown and the way the run game went, I would stick with him. But it sounds like Fairchild, if he's healthy, might be back at left guard. What is your thoughts on the running game? He only had 11 carries. It's not a ton of carries, but he ran for 108 yards. And that's typically what the Bengals, they're not going to be a ground and pound team. They want to make explosive plays, and that's what happened on Thursday. I do see this hopefully continuing to happen. And what's your thoughts on Dalton Reiser or Fairchild starting?
Yes, let's stay there because I think that Fairchild and Reisner are their 2 best guards. I think Lucas Patrick's probably 3rd, and it's not me saying that Jalen Rivers is doomed. I just think that he's just kind of in over his head right now, and he's going through some struggles, and sometimes he'll have some decent weeks, but there's a reason why, he was kind of like the last resort option there. And I think that they found that Reisner is not as good at right guard, and he's always been kind of more of a natural left guard. So I think if this was Madden, right, you would put Dalton Reisner at left guard and you would have Dylan Fairchild at right guard, but you haven't had Fairchild practice at all at right guard, right? He's always been left guard going to Georgia. So they have like options at left guard, and they still, going back to this entire year, they don't have a clear answer at right guard, and they want Jalen Rivers to continue developing into that. But yeah, if you were to just plop in the 2 best guards and there wasn't any differences in terms of playing right or left, then you would have Fairchild and Reisner out there. But I think I think playing Fairchild is probably the correct move because you still want him to develop there. And I don't think he played bad enough to get benched necessarily. No. I'm not saying that you're saying that either. I do agree that Reisner looked better and more comfortable at the spot where he's played 90-something% of his snaps there.
Yeah, him and Zeus look better together. I thought that at any point that Fairchild and Zeus did.
Right. And again, that's worth something. I think it was interesting how like the Steelers entered last week as like a pretty middle of the road run defense, but they've always been very aggressive in their stunts and their games, and sometimes that kind of takes them out of plays. And I think Zach Taylor was trying to say that, yeah, like them running with the lead helped out the run game. Some of their best runs were when they were in a deficit, when they were down 7-0 or down 10-0, and the blocking was just better. Like they were just opening up more lanes, and I think the Steelers' aggressiveness kind of caught them, leaning a little bit, and it put them out of position. And that's where you finally had Chase Brown seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and just bursting through, but like we know that he can. So I thought it was a good job by the offensive line in general, and maybe that could be attributed, like you said, to Reisner playing next to Orlando Brown Jr. and the chemistry that they kind of maybe formed there, and the fact that they looked comfortable playing next to each other. But I'm not necessarily expecting that to be every single week because it was an outstanding day. But I think it could be very well just like matchup based, and seeing how other defensive fronts kind of handle that. Maybe play a little bit more patient and allow the Bengals offensive line that still has a lot to prove to maybe make some mistakes, because they just didn't make any against Pittsburgh.
Right. Now, the other thing, too, do you think that has a lot to do with Flacco getting rid of the ball so fast? I know that has nothing to do with the run game, but as far as the cohesiveness of this offensive line, because that's one thing, we haven't had a cohesiveness. I mean, the guards have been, not swinging doors, but, in and out of the guard position. They had multiple ones at both guard positions here. But do you think Joe Flacco getting rid of the ball faster helps that cohesiveness at all, or am I just grasping at straws there?
Maybe a little bit. I think obviously it's easier to protect when you're not having to be there for more than 3 seconds, right? And since he's taken over in week 6, has the quickest time to release in the league. I think only Aaron Rodgers has gotten rid of the ball at a higher rate, under 2.5 seconds for his dropbacks. But along with all the quick release, he's still pushing the ball down the field.
Right.
Rare combination for a guy who's averaging, I think, 6.5 yards per target on quick throws, which is, I think, fifth highest in the league. And everyone who's above him is getting the ball, is not getting the ball out of their hands as quick as often as he. Those are a lot of word salad there, but what I'm saying is, like, hands quickly, but he's still pushing the ball beyond the sticks, right?
Right.
That allows, even if he's not totally 100% of the time always accurate, he's hitting the windows to Jamar Chase, T. Higgins at the right time, and allowing them to make it, right. And when that is hitting, and that's all in sync, it gives defenses something else to worry about. Maybe makes them back off a little bit and allows more space for the run game to open up. So I think it all kind of marries together a little bit. Everyone always harps on you got to set up the pass by first running the ball, but sometimes you can do the opposite. And I think that's what they ended up doing on Thursday night.
Now I'll put this statement out here for you. It says, so we actually can run the ball. Zach just wasn't calling enough run plays. Now Chase did this on 11 carries, so it wasn't like we had 30 attempts, right? I mean, do you know how many attempts we actually had in the game? I did not write that down.
Rushing attempts?
Yeah,
it wasn't 30. It was, I think it was under 20.
Yeah, it wasn't that many. It wasn't that he tried to run the ball more than he did. They were just opening holes, I think, is what it was this time. That it had nothing to do with how many times we ran the ball. It's that we actually were effective at it. And that's what I've said a ton of times on here. It's like, we'll never be a ground and pound team, but we got to be explosive and have explosive plays in this offense. And that's from the running game to the wide receiver game. And we have not seen that in the running game until Thursday night. So that's the difference to me, was the explosive plays that helped open that up.
Right. And I think a lot of the Flacco's passes, because he threw the ball 47 times, but I think if the game had gone a little bit differently and the Steelers showed some other looks, I don't think he would have thrown the ball that much, because a lot of them were some of these old-fashioned RPOs where he takes the snap from under center and then he scans the defense initially if they're playing off, or he's got a good matchup on the outside because the Steelers were addicted to man coverage for whatever reason. That's when he identified Chase every single time on the inside release, and that's how he just had the game of his life, I guess, against a Steelers defense that didn't adjust. So they could have ran the ball even more, and I think they would have found similar success. But I think Flacco and Taylor, Taylor gave him the trust to make those calls after the snap, or maybe even before the snap, if he has that sort of option. And that's how they ended up passing the ball so much. But yeah, like, if you can run the ball that efficiently, why would you want to go away from it? It's just not going to happen every single week, but that was just how the game kind of went.
Right, exactly. Mike Madden wants to know here, are they keeping CTB on the bench? I don't know if we know that right now, if they are or not. You got any insight to that?
Yeah, like right now, they've been kind of, I mean, they're doing whatever they're doing at linebacker, right? It's like Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight, but they're still giving Oren Burks and Logan Wilson some run. They're kind of keeping the box a little bit heavy, and that's why only Dax Hill and DJ Turner playing over 50% of the snaps. Like the third cornerback right now is Josh Newton, but he only played like 30 or 40% of the snaps on Thursday, and Cam Taylor-Britt like just didn't. He was inactive, right? So that was a pretty big statement by the coaching staff and a pretty good indicator that he's probably not seeing the field unless injuries occur. I know that Marco Wilson is dealing with a hamstring injury right now, so that could have Cam Taylor-Britt be active at least, but I think at this point he's got to do a lot more than just a week of practice in order to get over the likes of Newton and Ivy. So it's going to be Turner and Dax, who are both playing really good. Obviously, Turner is playing arguably like the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
Yeah,
and
obviously really well.
there's just no there's. I mean, Turner's going to have to do something extraordinarily bad in order to lose that job to Taylor-Britt at this point.
Yeah, it's a godsend though how good he's playing. We need somebody to play that good at the quarterback position here. All right, Augie wants to know, John, you think this line has looked better because of chemistry or Flacco? It's kind of what I said, or Flacco's quick release, or both.
Yeah, I think we kind of answered this, right?
Okay. Right,
yeah. I don't know. Like it definitely helps to get the ball out quickly, right? And I think as that happens, it naturally slows the rush down a little bit. The Steelers, all throughout the years, have always tried to get their hands up and deflect passes over the line, and that's happened so many times with Joe Burrow, right? So the plan against the Steelers has always been kind of the same. You don't want the defensive line to disrupt the game. You want to get the ball out quickly. And I think when you do that to other teams as well, it does end up slowing down the rush. And when you can run the ball well, it does also make them pause a little bit. So everything kind of marries and just connects all together. And that's how you neutralize a pass rush. But if you are, no matter what the game script is, if you are entering these true pass sets, 80% of the time, it just lets defensive lines tee off on you. It doesn't matter how much in sync and how much chemistry the offensive line has, you're going to put yourself in a bad position.
Exactly. All right, Josh here. I love Chase Brown, but I think we can still get even more use out of Samaje Perine as well. He offers great dynamic comparative to Brown. So do you see them? Has anybody asked Zach about how many times he's planning on using Samaje, or is it going to be the Chase Brown show, or are we still sprinkling the Samaje here?
I mean, it was almost 50-50 in terms of snaps for a
handful
handful
of
weeks
I think last 2 weeks, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but then Brown, I think the last couple of weeks has kind of pulled away a little bit. But there's still value, I think, with P. Ryan because he's a hard runner and he's going to make at least the first initial read. He's not going to provide anything necessarily after getting hit, other than maybe carrying the ball or carrying the would-be tackler for a couple yards. There's no explosion. There's no necessarily burst for long games with him, but what you're getting out of him from within the first 10 yards, right? And there's value to that. And I think it allows Brown to get a breather because you don't want what happened last year to happen again, where he's getting the ball 25, 30 times a game, because that's when, guys get worn down.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Trey Henderson was back on the practice field today. I guess he was full go. Did you hear if he had any restrictions or anything like that?
Who are we talking
about? Trey Henderson.
Yeah. So he was limited with his hip. I think that is a combination of him not being 100% entirely, and also just him being the veteran and knowing that he doesn't have to practice necessarily full in order to play. Hell, he was so close to playing last week. I think it came down to the wire, but it wasn't going to happen. It was a short week, right? Which I still didn't count him out, right? Because I remember 2 years ago, I think he hyperextended his knee against the Texans. Yeah. And then he played like 4 days later against the Ravens. And he had a pretty decent game. So I never count him out. I think his body is made of adamantium. It just happened to be a pretty, a hip injury that was a little bit too severe for him to play after just 4 days rest. But I'm not counting him out for Sunday at all. I think he's probably likely to play.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I was like, there's no way he's playing. Yep, he played. I was like, you're nuts. Now, that brings you to the other guy that we really need to step up is Shamar Stewart, who they said they were going to use him a lot in the Pittsburgh game, and he was kind of ineffective, I should say. Have you heard anything about the game plan for him? Is the ankle still messing with him, or what have you heard?
Yeah, that was interesting messaging last week because Al Golden said that they were going to play him a lot, and he did start. He was out there for I think the first 10 snaps of the game, but then Myles Murphy ended up out snapping him, almost like doubling his snaps necessarily. So that could have been something where maybe he didn't trust his ankle all the way, and then maybe kind of limited him as the game went on. But obviously, the more time passes, the more comfortable he'll get, and the more healthier he will be. This is another situation where I think I kind of find it similar to Week 1, where yeah, you're expecting Trey to play, but you don't know how much he's going to play and how effective he's going to be. And obviously, Miles Murphy played a decent amount that game, and Shamar Stewart had a pretty decent game in his first game against the Browns, right? So
Right.
that's kind of what I'm expecting this time. Like you expect Stewart to be healthy enough to be at least somewhat of a chaotic force again. Not so much of winning cleanly as a pass rusher, but making some plays against the offensive line that's not very good against the Jets.
Stirring some stuff up will be nice because we need somebody else to put some pressure on the quarterback. Because if we can ever get, well, we know we have a Trey. If we can ever get something out of Shamar, which I think we can. Now I think him being hurt for what he missed 4 games has probably set him back a little bit. So hopefully he can come back in, and if he can start getting back to where he was the first game and a half and start from there, I think we can get some pressure on the Jets, and that's going to help the secondary.
And mind you, the guy only practiced a month. Like I think we were forgetting about that. He came in and the end of July, so he's missed so much time in the offseason, and then he's missed most of the season thus far. So it's hard to place a lot of expectations on him other than just run wild out there and maybe blow a guy backwards.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Mike Banner says they activated Cedric Johnson. I didn't know that.
They did.
That'd be
but no, they have not activated him to the roster. They have cleared him to practice, so they have 3 weeks to actually activate him to the roster. And I think they did it this week because Cam Sample is dealing with a knee injury. He had his knee wrapped for practice today, so who knows what the long term outlook with that is. He may be going on IR, and maybe they just need him, or maybe they just need Johnson to play this week, and maybe have Cam Sample rest up.
All right, so I've kind of put this out there that the next. Like I said this Jets game is could be a trap game. I don't really, like I said, I really don't. This team knows what they have in front of them. They know what kind of hole they put themselves in. So I don't think they're going to look past the Jets. But with that being said, let's look past the Jets. We got the Bears next. So if we win these next 2, and they got the bye week, that's 3 in a row, and you roll into Pittsburgh potentially with a chance for the division. Now, I know the Steelers got to play Green Bay this week. That right there to me is enough focus or enough to play for, where this game shouldn't be a trap game because of what is at stake. And are you surprised that people are still picking the Ravens to win this division when they're 1-5? And everybody's like, well, Lamar's gonna be back. I'm like, yeah, but they lost with Lamar. I mean, they were playing good with him. So I don't understand that either. I know it's kind of a roundabout question, but what do you think's going on with the division here? I'll put it simple that way.
Ravens had the benefit of having a very weak schedule going here on out, and obviously the benefit of the doubt of them winning games in the past with Lamar and obviously Harbaugh. So I think until they are like out of it, no one's really counting them out. Right. And also, I mean, again, who knows what the Bengals will look like 2 months from now? Like, it's been so volatile, and there still needs to be, like, the sample size of Flacco is obviously very small. We're all very excited about it, that they have life, but you know, you still need to actually prove it over, a 3 month span. The Browns are the Browns. They're a joke. The Steelers, I think people just understand that they're going to be competitive and they're going to be in the mix, but you don't really expect them to get over like 10, 11 wins. So it's still there, I guess, for really anyone except Cleveland at this point to go ahead and grab. And I think because of who the Ravens are and their reputation, that's why that makes sense. But yeah, like I think we can say that this game for the Bengals is a quote unquote trap game, but they should still be desperate to win as many games as possible before Burrow comes back. And that just should be the message. It doesn't matter if the Jets are winless, but they were on a 4-game losing streak before this, so I don't know how they can overlook anybody. Right?
Yeah, I don't think they will. And the thing is oh crap, I had it in my head. I forgot now. The way this season was going, we were basically giving this division. I mean, us, the Browns, and the Ravens are giving this division to the Steelers. Now the Bengals have there's a door cracked open again for them to get back into this. With that being said, the Bengals did make a trade, an in-season trade. Now, that's back-to-back years they've made in-season trades. I'd be shocked if they do it, but they really need to do this. The trade deadline's coming up here. Do you see them trading for a safety or another defensive end or anything like that?
I don't expect them to make any move that they aren't like. I don't expect them to make any proactive move, I should say. I think as welcoming as the Flacco move was, that was them realizing that we can't do this with Brownie. Like, it's just not going to work.
It's kind of obvious. Yeah.
And I think that that in and of itself, like the move there was recognizing that, hey, like we need results now. And that's progress for them, right? They didn't just sit on their hands and do
Right.
nothing. But
Right.
and the only reason why they made that move is because Burrow got hurt, right? So unless you're talking about another major injury to a position that they feel like they can't rely on their backups, I don't foresee a move in which they make a position group better than just the healthy guys that they have there. Unless again, like you don't want to talk about injuries, but I feel like another major injury is the only way that you're going to see another aggressive type move.
What if they have a position that the guy is not playing good at, and he's not playing good, and they don't, I guess, trust the one behind him, which I'm talking about
Yeah.
safety, which I would like to give Tyson Anderson a shot because Geno Stone is what Geno Stone is, but we it's gonna be really hard to keep going with this season like this is with this hole at safety. I'll put it that way because Geno Stone has not played good. I guess they don't trust Tyson Anderson. They're not giving him snaps. That's the one spot to me is the glaring weakness that they got to try and fix. And if there's somebody out there, which I don't know who, that's one they should try to go get. So, like you said, if it's a injury, and I'm not calling for anybody to get injured or anything like that, but this is a glaring weakness. So, to me, it's kind of the same thing. If you got somebody who's not playing up to performance and you don't trust the guy behind them, you got to get somebody. I would think if you're willing to go trade, and I know they gave him a fifth round for Joe Flacco, so they give up much. But if they want to give up something, and some people throwing it out there, Cam Taylor-Britt, Burton, which I don't think Burton will get us anything, but Cam Taylor-Britt might get us something if you throw another draft pick in there with it. To me, that's where I'm like, they got to be proactive in this. And that's not like the Bengals, but they've done stuff un-Bengal-like here lately.
Yeah, I think also safety is, I mean, obviously nothing can compare to quarterback in terms of just catching up to speed, right? What Flacco's done in the past 2 weeks is nothing short of impressive, right?
Yes.
I think when you're talking about replacing the safety in the middle of the season, there's also similar difficulties, just when it comes to just the nomenclature of the playbook and just being in sync with everyone else. And maybe that's why they're a little apprehensive, not only just trading for a guy, but benching the guy for Tyson Anderson, who, as talented as he is, and as much as I would like to see him also get a chance, he just has extremely minimal experience in the regular season, and that potentially could matter. They've dealt with safety changes over the past handful of years now. Ever since Jesse Bates has left, they've dealt with guys having to come in because of poor performance, and for whatever reason, we're not seeing that with Anderson. Maybe the trust isn't there, which is the reason why they could look for someone else. But again, like I feel like that's just extremely unlikely, just for the nature of replacing the guy just for the sake of replacing him.
Right. Now, can you answer me this? Because people at work ask me this, and Cornell's saying here, Max Crosby. The Raiders just signed him. Why do people keep bringing his name up? Like, is there actual trade rumors that you've heard that the Raiders want to trade Max Crosby? Because I haven't heard anything about it. Other people keep saying, "Hey, we should trade for Max Crosby." I'm like, that'd be great, but why the hell would the Raiders trade him when they just signed him? But have you heard anything?
I mean, people keep hitting me up about Trey Hendrickson, so it's kind of the same thing, right? Like
They're not,
Max.
They're not trading Trey either. I don't care what anybody says. They haven't.
Before Max got his contract, I mean, he was a trade piece, right? And that's why it was significant that he got the contract. But of course, the Raiders are in the mud right now, and people think that obviously a team that's going through that has obviously the willingness to part ways with some of their best players and their best assets to rebuild and everything like that. But I don't think it's impossible that Max Crosby gets traded, but obviously it's not going to be the Bengals.
Yeah, I'll be shocked if he got traded, to be honest. I mean, just in general, because they just signed him. And this whole thing, like, I know teams are calling about Trey, but Thursday night just solidified the Bengals are not trading him, which I don't think they're going to trade him anyway because he's too valuable to us, and they're trying to stay in this thing. Paul wants to here. Will Flacco have more plays now and be comfortable with it than the ones he's had? He looked pretty comfortable so far. I think. You think he's going to be even more comfortable with the playbook? And I'll put it this way: how much more open do you think the playbook will be? Because he doesn't have all the plays. He's got more of them now.
I think the ones that he was somewhat comfortable with, he's going to be comfortable with, and then you just go on to the next part of it where it's like, yeah, like I recognize some of these words and then I recognize these concepts. It's just different words being used for the same type of plays that I've seen for the past 18 years. So yeah, again, the more time on task you have, the more comfortable that you should get. It's not necessarily about him getting more comfortable. It's just about the more tape is out there. Okay, like what is Flacco doing in this offense? How can we defend it? The more tape that he puts out there, it's easier for defenses to kind of adjust. That's going to be the real battle. It's not just about opening up the playbook for him, but it's about how much the playbook gets out to opponents, and therefore how much can they limit a quarterback who, again, I want to reiterate, was not playing very well before he got here. And it could just be the fact that he's got two amazing receivers now to throw to. That could be the difference, but I think there's still more that Flacco needs to prove as defenses get adjusted to what he is in this offense for sure.
And one thing I want to give you credit for, because I remember you, me, are on the show and talking about Jake Browning being the quarterback, and I being the optimistic person that I am, you being the realist, I was like, well, Jake Browning should come in, and he did really good 2 years ago. You're like, yeah, well, toward the end of that, they started figuring him out. Do you think that's what happened with Jake Browning? They figured him out, or he just completely lost confidence or lost it? What was your thoughts with the downfall of Jake Browning?
I'm not even sure that they figured him out. I think he looked like a shell of himself.
Yeah.
And I think he was in a position this year where he was pressing a lot. And I think once he kind of realized that, like this is my show, there was a lot of pressure on that. And I think the first time he did it, he didn't feel as much pressure. And also the offense looked like it just looked different in 2023. And I think they didn't adjust as much as they probably should have, but also he just wasn't executing anywhere close to where he should have been with what he was asked to do. So he was late and he was inaccurate and there was no zip on the ball. And it's just like, there's only so much that you could do to scheme around that. So he looked like a worse version of himself. Absolutely. I think there may have been some other things that they could have done to help him, but I think they realized that even if they do adjust things, like he's just not in a mental position to actually make the most of what we're giving him.
Right. And the interesting thing, I was just listening to Joe Flacco's press conference here before the show started. Him talking, I guess they were talking about how he got the chemistry so quickly with Jamar and T. And he said it's not necessarily chemistry. This is just from being a quarterback in the league for 18 years or whatever. He said he can read their routes and tell by their body moves how they're coming out of the break already. So when you've got that knowledge, which is something obviously Jake Browning didn't have, that right there is just you can't beat that. That's stuff that you just get that from being a quarterback, 40-year-old quarterback. Did you understand that stuff? So that's one of the reasons I think that Jake has done so well. Plus, this is, and he's talked about this a lot, of how well Jamar and T catch the ball, and I don't think they get enough credit for as good of catching, just guys who just snatch the ball out of the air. There's lots of wide receivers that are good route runners, but to be able to just catch it and just snatch it is a very, I won't say rare, but to have all that together and have two of them on one team, that's got to be absolutely a blast for Joe Flacco to throw to, because he said he compared both them to Anquan Bolden, who was a hell of a receiver. He could just catch the ball. His catch radius was ridiculous. He compared both them guys to Anquan Bolden. I think that's a pretty good compliment.
I think the list of players who are better at just catching the ball than T. Higgins, I think you can count them on one finger. Yeah. I legitimately think he's just one of the very best natural hands catchers in the league. And being 6'4", he doesn't always get the chance to, like, quote unquote moss a guy. And I don't think he necessarily those are different types of athletes, right? You don't necessarily all the time see that play with him, but his catch radius, regardless of whatever his vertical is just asinine. And if the ball just hits the very tips of his fingers, you just expect it to be caught. And like you said, there are problems with the Bengals offense. We've talked about it ad nauseum, but when the ball does get out and it is on target with one of these guys, you can just feel 99.99% confident that it's getting caught and it's probably going to be your first down. And that's just so invaluable, and it's why they built the entire offense around them. Who would have known it could work like this?
Right, exactly. The funny thing is, I've had so many. You might have had the same thing too. I had so many Steeler fans clap back at me, and because I've done some reels and stuff and talking smack, so I deserve it. But I have a lot of them clap back at me, and they kept saying, the refs gave you that game. Like, how? I'm like, did you what? Like, I think they gave Jamar Chase had offensive pass interference 16 times. 16 times? Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Yeah, I can see it a couple times, maybe a little hand fighting or here and there. But have you heard that a lot from Steelers fans about saying that the refs gave us the game?
No, because I don't really pay attention to that stuff. I did go to the game and I was with one of my best friends who is a Steelers fan. We both agreed that the touchdown that got taken off the board from a holding call was kind of BS. So
It
yeah, I
was.
mean, like, yeah, like there's yeah, like sometimes it's gonna happen. I think because it's the Steelers and we've all been accustomed to watching them maybe get some favorable calls. Maybe it was kind of a this is the other side of the coin. This is kind of what it looks like. It's okay to get some rev help every now and then, but I don't think it necessarily determined the outcome of the game because again, Flacco and those guys were dealing. Sometimes it's just how it goes.
Right. Uh, Who Dey Nation today says, remember the catch by T. That wasn't a catch based on the ruling against the
Mhm.
Jets. Should have counted both toes were down. And said, I still don't understand that. I would never understand that one. Because he said the ruling was the toes are down, but they're saying the heels got to be down. I was like, where the hell was that in the rule book? I had never heard that before in my entire life, John. That one was crazy. You got that one. The other one I remember is the talk about pass interference stuff. Is the one that AJ Green had when in Joe Burrow's very first game against the Chargers,
Oh yeah.
where Joe Burrow would have in his very first game would have led us all the way back for a game-winning touchdown, but they called offensive pass interference on AJ Green, which I thought was a terrible call.
Isn't it? It's still weird to me how those careers intertwined for just only like 10 games, right?
Yep,
But
love
still,
it. Mhm.
it's bizarre to me.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, Joe Flacco has outlasted all of them.
Yep.
I mean, I was watching the Pat McAfee show today, and I think McAfee, the guy he had as the offensive line guy on there, and whoever the quarterback is he has on, I can't remember his name, D Bud or whatever. All of them were drafted the same year as Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco's still out there slinging it. It's ridiculous. I mean, when you got a cannon for an arm and you're accurate, you can still play quarterback. Somebody's going to pay you to do it.
It's really funny too because like, I think when Flacco got signed, someone tweeted out. It's probably Jay Morrison because he's the king of stats. Someone tweeted out like his record at Paycor Stadium. It's like 3-7, and it's like yeah, he saw AJ Green cook them every single time he played them, and now
Yeah.
AJ Green is having the time of his life, retirement, golfing with his family. Joe Flacco's still out here dealing.
Yeah. Oh,
Who would've thought?
yeah, but now he's got Jamar Chase who cooks the Ravens every time now.
That's true.
All right, Crippy Keeper here. John, the brain Sheeran. What's the deal with Burton? Why is he still in Taylor's doghouse?
Who could know?
Hey, we
Like,
have not heard
honestly, who
anything
could
on
know?
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've heard nothing on that. It's just DA playing.
I mean, if things don't change, they don't change. Like
Yeah.
there's. I think right now, like I'm really curious about Andre Osavash, who had a really good game against Pittsburgh, but he obviously wasn't playing particularly well leading up to that game. But he's still getting all the snaps, he's still getting all the opportunities, and you would think that if there's anyone to supplant him, it would probably be Mitchell Tinsley at this point. But Mitchell Tinsley's barely getting any tick. But obviously, I think they have a lot of trust in what he's done this year, and that means more than the draft status that is attached to Jermaine Burton. That's just all it is right now. Like at a certain point, like you just have to show up and you have to produce and you have to be better than your competition. And the competition inside the Bengals wide receiver room is as good as it gets around the league. So that's just what it is.
So do you think that pass that Yoshi had up the middle Thursday night, do you think that staved off some of Tinsley coming after him as far as getting some playing time? Because Yoshi, he didn't look good in the game
No.
before that game. He dropped 3 of them, and one of them was for a damn first down.
Yeah. Maybe again, like I think they've been really bullish on Yoshi, and I don't foresee that going anywhere after the game that he just had. But I think they feel comfortable that Tinsley is there, and he obviously, whenever the ball's thrown his way, he makes a play, right? So it's a good player to rely on in a pinch, but maybe not the player that you want playing 40, 50 snaps. And maybe Yoshi isn't that either, right? So, like at the end of the day, he's also a 6th-round pick, and there's a lot about his career that he still has to prove. I think obviously he's a great guy, and he's made some great plays in the moments that he's had. But some players, I think we can just look at them and say, hey, like this guy is good for a couple good plays a game, and maybe he is most efficient, most reliable in more of a limited role. Maybe some guys can't be starters, and that's fine. It's not like it's not disparaging them. It's just realizing that it takes a lot to be reliable for 50 to 60 snaps, regardless if you're getting the ball or not. And some guys, like that's just not them. And I think Yoshi still has to prove that he is a guy that can be relied on as a starter.
I think we're going to need somebody to step up as a third receiver until if Mike G comes back. Because did they put Mike G on IR?
Yes.
Okay, so he's out for at least 4 weeks, right?
Yes.
That's the minimum. Okay, so and what about? Have you heard anything about Tanner Hudson? Is he? Because I didn't know he had a concussion until like the day before the game on Thursday. Is he back this week?
He's still in the protocol. I think he was limited Wednesday. So kind of like Noah Fant, where he was limited for most of the week before he came back, and then he had a full practice, and then he cleared. So that's probably the expectation with Hudson.
Okay, because that's the thing too, is with Mike G out, there's an opportunity for Noah Fant, for Tanner Hudson, for Andre Yoselice to get those catches that Mike G is supposed to be getting. He hasn't really been as effective this year as we had thought. But I mean, the point to this is they really need a third, a competent third wide receiver or third receiver in general to step up there. And right now, to me, I think the most one there is the tight ends, either Fant or Tanner Hudson is probably more of where Joe Flacco would probably go with the ball than Yoshi right now at this point.
Yeah, Hudson connected with Flacco a couple times against Green Bay, and that was interesting to see. But how about Noah Fant though? I mean, catching a touchdown to Flacco, I think it makes sense as for him being like the number one right now without Mike in there, and it kind of gives them a lot more of a traditional option. And you still have Sample and Grandy do Sample and Grandy things, and Hudson can, when he's healthy, he can do Mike G things a little bit. But Fant should be like the feature guy, especially in this time when you don't have Gesicki out there. And I think he's similar to the tight ends that Flacco has worked with in the past. Gesicki obviously is a very unique player, and he and Burrow connected a lot at the end of last season, and it makes sense for the offense when he's in there. But with a new quarterback in there who isn't necessarily afraid, I mean, obviously he's not afraid of over targeting a guy, because that's what he did in Baltimore with Torrey Smith and Steve Smith. And when you have two reliable guys like that in Higgins and Chase, and Flacco knows like the leverages of these guys, and he knows like when to challenge them one-on-one, like you don't always need a bevy of weapons out there where you need to spread the wealth necessarily, but it does help to have a guy like Fant who can do a little bit of everything. And now it's good to see him kind of realize like a more prominent role after he was cut suddenly in July. And I'm happy for him.
Yeah, exactly. All right, keeper. Do you guys think Burton could be a good kickoff returner? Also, the old man Brown doesn't like to waste draft picks or players who don't play. Yes, I think Burton would be a good kickoff returner. I've said that for a while, but they're not using him. So, but it's a wasted draft pick at this point right now, right, John?
It's not the only third-round pick that's not playing, though. We're not really talking about McKinley Jackson.
I mean, hell, they're benching Cam Taylor-Britt. He's he's a third or fourth, wasn't he?
The Bengals actually don't have a problem with drafting guys who don't play. It happens quite often, more often than they probably should.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case here, because and that's one thing that's interesting too, is they are going with a lot of youth movement here, because I mean, there's a potential that we could have both rookie guards starting on this game this week, plus 2 rookie linebackers. So I mean, they are definitely going with the youth movement, which brings me back to safety. I don't know why they won't give Tyson Anderson a shot, but is that kind of surprising to you how much of a youth movement they're going to this year? Because it seems like last year they would not, no matter what happened, they wouldn't play any of the young guys, and this year they are.
It doesn't surprise me, because it was the whole point of changing coordinators, right? To get a guy who's obviously more comfortable coaching and playing quite literally younger guys at the college level. What's happening at the linebacker is still surprising to me. The fact that we're talking about Logan Wilson as a sensible trade piece, like no one could have expected that 2 months ago, right? He was voted team captain, for Christ's sake.
Right.
I think like it made sense to draft Barrett Carter when they did as like a future replacement for him, but for him to take over in week 6 and now that Wilson is just an afterthought, that is very shocking to me, because again, like I don't think Wilson was playing that bad and to warrant this decision. It's fine that you want to give Carter some exposure and snaps to let him kind of get his feet wet, but to take the green dot off of Wilson's helmet and give it to the rookie, that is way more aggressive than I expected. But everything else that's happened, I think, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, except for keep playing Geno Stone. Except for that part. What one little thing there. But yeah, did you just say Logan Wilson might be a trade piece? Did I hear you say that?
There was an article on ESPN. Jeremy Fowler said he's talking to other teams, and they believe that the Bengals could be open to trading him. Again, could, obviously some speculation there, but if there is a trade piece on this defense, it's not Trey Hendrickson. It's more likely Logan Wilson, just because he's being phased out of the defense and he's a former starter who's on the younger side of 30. It makes sense because he has value, and the Bengals don't see him as valuable as they did 2 months ago, right? So that's the formula for how you get a guy who gets traded away. And the reason why the Bengals would do this, because obviously having Logan Wilson on your roster should make your roster better. But if you're not going to play him and you can get a guy in return who can contribute more than what you're willing to play Wilson, that is a move that can be deemed aggressive for the Bengals, but also getting rid of a guy that they don't see as highly anymore. And they've done that in the past.
Yeah. Now I wonder if that would be the same thing for Cam Taylor-Britt, because he used to be a former starter. He still got. I still think he's got a lot of talent. We haven't seen it. So maybe those two, you package those up and go get. So what do you just? I don't know, for just the giggles. What do you think if they were to package, in your opinion, Logan Wilson, Cam Taylor? What could they get for him? I still don't know if they get a lot. I'm not sure. I want a player, at least get a player, hopefully back.
I don't think packaging them makes the offer any more enticing, because like it's not like Madden, right? Where it's like, oh, you put in 2 players in there and all of a sudden the trade value goes up.
Right.
A single defense still needs to want both players. And I don't think Taylor-Britt is as attractive of a trade piece as Wilson is, because he's obviously got less time as a starter and he's been benched now multiple times by 2 defensive coordinators. His career looks very scary at this point for him long term. I think with Wilson, honestly, I think you would get more for just Wilson, just because maybe there's teams that don't want Cam Taylor-Britt right now just because of how his career has just gone down the toilet, unfortunately.
Like, so could you think you could get like a starting safety for him?
No.
Could you, so you're saying like a backup linebacker or something like that?
Maybe a 7th rounder.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I don't still think it'd be a big piece. You'd have to add something, a draft pick or something to that to get something as far as a starter would go with either of those guys.
Yeah, I think you could get like a 5th or a 6th for Logan Wilson, and I think that's why they could be intrigued, or just the equivalent of whatever that is for like a player. And I think that's why they could be interested in at least hearing that out.
Yeah. Okay. All right, John. Well, you've been on for 47 minutes. I appreciate you. Check out John for all his work for A to Z, and check out his reels. His reels, I really am impressed with the reels, especially the one you did live.
I do none of the editing work. I do none of that.
But I don't do the reels. I don't do any of the editing work on mine either. So that shout out to Josh or Who Day Nation who does that for me. But tell everybody where they can follow you at, your latest article, and anything else you want to plug before I let you go.
Well, you did a great job of that. A to Z Sports Cincinnati on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you get your short form video content, because our attention spans are FUCKED. A to Z sports.com/Cincinnati for all the written articles for the people who still like to read out there.
Exactly. John, as always, brother, I appreciate it. And I gave you a couple days before I called you.
I appreciate that.
To come in. Just to let everybody know, there's a while there that I'm like, oh crap, I need somebody to come on. I'm like, oh, that's John. Yeah. Then that's John. I'm like, damn it, can you give me more time? Like, you're right, I should do that. So, John, I appreciate you, brother. Take it easy, man. See ya.
See you, Jeff.
John's a great dude. Make sure you guys go check him out with all his work. I appreciate him a lot. I'm ending this. Well, I'm not really ending this a little early, but I want to get this out there. So if you guys, all 70, want to have a chance to win this signed T. Higgins autographed helmet, let me bring up the information here so I can make sure I am reading it right to you guys. All right. Want to win this signed T. Higgins helmet? Go to Moreline Lager House website and sign up for the loyalty program, and you'll be automatically entered. If you're already a member, you're already in. You want to double your chances, buy a ticket to the pregame experience, any of the pregame experience, and you can get $10 off by using this code pregame10 for $10 off. So, first of all, go to the loyalty program. It's at Moreline Lager House website. Go on there, sign up. It's free. Sign up for that. And if you want to double your chances, buy a ticket to the pregame experience presented by Best Day Brewery. And like I said, you can use the promo code pregame10. We will be giving away this awesome helmet November 23rd. So make sure you guys come on down to the watch parties, come on down to the tailgate, and come enjoy the fun with us at Moorline Lager House.
All right, shout out to my sponsors. They are Priority Lawn and Landscaping for all your lawn and landscaping needs. You need your grass cut, you need shrubbery trimmed, I don't know, you need a paper patio, you need anything. I mean anything. Landscaping requires. Think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Also, shout out to T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And of course, Meyer Window, Door, and more. I got it in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. They're energy efficient, great looking windows, easy to clean. Meyer Window, Door, and more. The website is MeyerCincinnati.com. And also shout out to my favorite brewery, Moorline Lager House. Get on down there, get you some delicious Moorline beer, some delicious Moorline food. And tell them I sent you. Moorline Lager House. Hey guys. All right. Just want to let you know, we're still doing the pregame experience at the Moorline Lager House, brought to you by Best Day Brewery. I can't tell everybody this, so it's just between us, okay? For the next 3 games, Pittsburgh, Jets, Bears, which I think the Bengals can win all 3 of them, you can get $10 off. 10 by using pregame 10. Right? Pregame 10. That gets you into the all-exclusive experience. The drinks. The food. The host. Everything. It's the best experience on the banks. Best Day Brewery, Moorline Lager House, pregame 10. See you this Thursday. Let's go.
Again, we'll be down there this Sunday. We already did the Thursday one. So this Sunday, again, use pregame 10. Come on down and try to win a chance to get this T. Higgins signed autograph. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I have a live stream on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch. You can follow me on all those, along with Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. Also, follow my Substack. Please go there and subscribe. I've written another article on there this week. Make sure you guys go check it out and leave a comment, anything like that. You can also donate if you want to, just like you do Super Chats here. But I appreciate it. Also, I'll be pulling a sound off later on tonight, putting on the podcast on BeanPod, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. Do me a favor. Make sure, first of all, listen to it, then rate it, like it, review it. Leave a 5-star review and a comment so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. Tomorrow, we'll be talking some fantasy football and some more Bengals stuff. Robert Baker will be here, so get all your fantasy football questions out for him. He'll be ready, rip-roaring, ready to go. He'll probably be joining from the car because he's flying in from California because he's going to go to the Ring of Honor game this Sunday. So it'll be a great time. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow at 5:30. Remember one thing and one thing only. That's Who Day for life. And as always, throw it up. That's just sports, baby. See ya!
Another great show. You guys still here? The show's over. You can come back tomorrow. I'm out of here. See ya.